Thousands of aspiring lawyers will find out their fate with the results of the 2023 bar exams coming out tomorrow. What are law firms looking for in new attorneys? Attorney George Aquino of ACCRA Law tells us more. Thank you so much for joining us, Attorney. First of all, how difficult is it to pass the bar exams?
Hi, Rika. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's difficult. It's one of the most difficult experiences, I guess, a law student will have to go through. You pack into what is now a 1 week period everything that you learned in 4 years. No, that's 6 exams, six subjects in 3 days in a 1 week period. So it's very difficult. The mortality rate over the years historically has also been quite high, and therefore the achievement, the accomplishment is also very well sought, and it is a well-deserved accomplishment once it is achieved.
Attorney, you mentioned about the mortality rate in like previous decades. It would only be 20 to 25%, maybe as high as 30%. But last year it was more than 40%, and the year before that, more than 70%.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Historically, it has, yes, hovered around 25 to 30%. In the years of the pandemic, the 2 year period where the bar was compressed into 2 years into one exam, the passing rate was 72%. And last year, the bar examinations that were taken in November of last year had a 43% passing rate. So relatively higher than the average. Which I guess is a good trend when we think about it.
And this year is quite different compared to the previous years or previous decades. In the past, everything would be written in a piece of paper, the essays, but now it is computerized.
Yes, sir. That's, I guess, one of the silver linings of the pandemic. During the pandemic, it was at around that time that this new innovation of computerizing the exams was introduced. This gave the chance for the Supreme Court to actually have many testing centers all over the country instead of it being all centralized in Manila before. It used to be in the University of Santo Tomas and then De La Salle University before that. So now there are several testing centers, I think 14 in the last exam. So that's one good thing because it has been computerized. They have been spread out. The costs have also been somehow minimized because those in the provinces don't all have to flock to Manila. And well, it's still an essay exam just like before. It's an exhibition of logic and reasoning. But now I guess one practical thing is that penmanship is no longer a factor. So I think all in all, it's a welcome innovation.
Indeed. And attorney, you are the hiring partner of ACCRA Law, one of the top law firms in the Philippines. And for those who will be passing this bar, maybe 25 to 30%, what characteristics do you look for when you hire a new lawyer?
Yeah, well, of course, academic performance is one of the most important things because that is the measure by which that is the standard by which they were measured coming out of the law school. So that's one of the most important things. We look at their academic record, of course. But aside from that, what we try to look at is a person who will be a good fit in a team setting because essentially that is how we work as a firm, and I think many firms work that way as well. So good interpersonal skills are also important. In the end, each individual lawyer will have to be advocates for his client, and therefore we are all wordsmiths. So oral and written skills are also important. But for us, the X factor really is someone who can work well with the team, who has good judgment and decision making skills, and who can think out of the box. No? So actually when we recruit, it's not really a one-time thing. It's not a one-time interview. We try to develop relationships with them as early as their law school days.
Yes.
Some of us who are the faculty are exposed to them both academically and in school activities and organizations. And that's how we try to assess them holistically, how they can they can fit in well in an organization.
Attorney, do you only hire bar top-notchers or those within the top 100?
We don't really have a, we can't really say that we have a strict rule there. No, we do not confine it to bar top-notchers. But we do recruit those who have excelled academically. That is correct, yes.
But is it also a certainty that those who have excelled academically and who are, let's say, in the top 10, top 20, or top 30 will be successful lawyers?
Well, like I said, by the time they get out of the law school, the standard by which they were measured is that academically. So that is inevitably that will somehow be the basis for recruitment and hiring. But just like anything else, what appears in our books and what is practical are not always identical. The EQ, we say EQ,
Yes.
of course, and the ability to deal with people is a big thing. So it's not always 100% a guarantee, but more or less we see those who were able to thrive in a competitive environment such as law schools, more or less are also able to excel in a law school environment. But I'd also like to reiterate the human side of it is a big factor, and those who excel I also see are those who have good human relations, are good listeners, are good counselors.
Definitely, you need a good combination of IQ and EQ, emotional quotient. But what about you personally, attorney? What will you remember about yourself when you were waiting for the results of the bar exams during your time?
Well, it was it was so difficult during our time. It was the wait was half a year. We all took the bar in one exam center at De La Salle. It was handwritten. And that's your entire life at that point. Everything you worked for, everything all in one go, you have to get out of your brain and into your hands. So in the end, it's a lot of anxiety, but also it's a lot of prayer, and it's worth it once you're fortunate enough to hurdle the exam.
And briefly, attorney, what is your advice to those who will be passing the bar tomorrow? To the new lawyers.
It's the most important time of your lives at that point. But at that point, it is also still just the beginning, because once you qualify for that exam, it is a recognition by the Supreme Court that you are equipped with skills to move forward as a lawyer, and everything after that is up to you. I think the most important thing after that is, because you have that seal of competence, is to really act ethically and in accordance with really your true objectives as a lawyer, which is to advocate for what you believe in, and I guess for the betterment of society in general.
ACCRA Law hiring partner, Attorney George Aquino, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.